Hi, Marius.
Hi, Nick.
Cool. So, look, I wanted to discuss today with you a traditional model of life,
Okay.
that we pursue and many people actually do. And also look at the situation, how can we escape it? What are the ways? What are the building blocks? What are the prerequisites?
Hi, I'm Marius. I'm a designer and I like to discuss topics with Nick.
Hi, I'm Nick. I'm a software developer, a freelancer, and we build this podcast to explain the life of two successful digital creators. Join us and we will discuss many different topics together. The first thing I think it makes sense to kind of reflect on is, what is this traditional model of life? And I feel like it's something like a standard way. After school, you go to some high studies like university, and then after university, you turn into this 9-to-5 routine work, where you normally go to the office or work in hybrid mode or so. You commute twice a day, so you spend time on that, sit in the office 8 hours at the chair, especially in our professions, design, development, and IT related, You feel that you work with sometimes bad managers and, your salary increases less than the inflation rate in your country. Then you are back home, and at home you have a lot of homework to cook, to wash, to clean out the apartments. People used to watch TV back then when I was a kid, but now we are staring at the phone a lot of time because we are drained of such a traditional model. We are drained of this lifestyle, and therefore no energy for things which are important. And I think this model, it nurtures more people to have meaningless lives. I would love to give here this quote from Nigel Marsh. There is 1,000 and thousands of people out there leading lives of quiet, screaming desperation, where they work long, hard hours a job. They hate to enable them to buy things they don't need, to impress people they don't like. So yeah, this is the traditional model, and Generation Z strongly disagrees with this model. Millennials, like you, Marius, and me, too. We don't like the idea of the balance that this traditional model offers. So how can we change this?
Nice topic. Okay. Very good point you made there, and also a good entry to the discussion. I think a lot of people probably feel like this after Christmas, having the holidays, coming back to work. You see everybody's back on the street with the car, coming back to the office or home office. Yeah, there's quite a bit to unpack. It's a good topic to discuss. I think a lot of people will be affected by this. For the both of us, I think it's also interesting because we kind of went different paths. Even though, you work as a freelance developer for a big company and we have clients. I think the ones that I want to look at is from the psychological side. So if you look at our bodies, working 8 hours is quite a bit already. Some might say, I'm super happy working 10 hours or 12 hours. Some are happy working 5 hours. Everybody's different situation. Some have families, some are alone, just starting to work. But starting to think about like how this can look like is quite exciting right now, I think. Because when we were starting to work, you had more traditional education. So you went to university or you did an apprenticeship. You kind of started your career, classic path. That's maybe not so important anymore. If we hire somebody, maybe from our side, I do not look at that CV so much anymore. I'm much more interested in inviting that person to work with us for a month. It's a paid time, so they also have something from that. They can see if they like the place. We can see if they fit in the team. And I also think that a different approach could also be much more fitting for your lifestyle because you will have more free time, will enjoy your work more, and I think you can solve more problems.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think
Totally
there's lots
agree.
of upsides.
Good points. Yeah.
But yeah, curious to hear what you think.
And interesting that you put a good point, like we already in certain shape escape this with you. We designed already all these years that we are in relationship and know each other. we designed our careers differently than this. And I think maybe therefore it's really cool to talk now about this, because we can reflect also on us, We are not somebody who is like, okay, cool, there is a new way that we want to change this traditional model, but we haven't actually. So we are like talking only about this. I normally don't like these theoretical things, I like to reflect on practice. And I think you and me really like emphasize this thing, because you went through this path, I went through this path, so we already made a certain change and escape from this model.
Yeah.
So well, I think that this traditional model is enforced to the society by the governmental systems, by social systems that are built there. And historically, I think they were done in favor to scale the economy of the country or certain unit. And therefore, this model really worked and still works, actually, to make sure that the economy of the country gets richer, gets better, gets growing. The point is, who pays for that the most? And the answer is we do. Okay. We work more, we pay more taxes, in our, let's say, the most privileged age, where we have the most of the energy and ambitions and optimism. We spend a lot of time to actually pursuing the model that is naturally provided by the government if you don't change it by yourself, because there is no alternative the government provides you or social system provides you, Even families, I believe your mother or family also try to put that, okay, you have to go to university, then find some job, and then do that job further on, probably have a family at some point. And so all these standard ways, the same for me.
Yeah.
But now look, I believe that the roots of this comes from fear.
Okay.
So people, our families, our parents, they want that we live stable life economically.
Yeah.
We are successful in terms of financial survivance, let's say. And therefore, they think that this traditional model of life is the right way. Because they probably went through that, They are now hitting the pension or close to that, and they were okay. They survived, They grew up as kids. Everything fine. The point is that we are promoted to this model because everybody thinks that any other way has a lot of risk, especially related to financial instability. In the cities where we live, you live in Munich, I live in Vienna, that's a big cities, developed one. They demand us to continue the rat race to pay our lives, to pay our bills. The rent costs a lot of money, the cost of living is high, and so forth. But now, whenever you are like putting, okay, but if there is an alternative way, alternative model, everybody, friends, family, will immediately challenge. But how fast you get this financial stability that you have now? Okay, security, right? And therefore, we have this choice between A, which is pretended financial security, and B, which is creativity, personal fulfillment, where you take care of your purpose, maybe, where your mental health is supported, or body in general health. Where you have flexibility. So you choose one or another, but you cannot mix both. Nobody like thought about this, If you go with security, then, well, you just repeat the pattern that everybody do, and hopefully you will be good. If you go with a B, which is like creativity, you probably will be a pure artist, surviving your days, living in a bad shape and so forth. That's how these two things are projected on us, okay?
Yeah.
And interesting that this changed within our decade or our age, millennials, let's say, part. Remember the times that there was no mobile phones, right? When we were kids. Then
Right.
they
Yeah.
appeared. Then internet appeared, farther on. Now afterwards, I started to do and you started to do remote work,
Right. Well.
Then immigration started. Many people immigrated, like me, myself, and you see Europe is full of different immigrants from a lot of countries, and it's actually
Absolutely.
builds the
Yeah.
economy. Then the corona appeared and remote work became already a normal work, or now hybrid work, a new term. And so digitalization, like internet and remote, become new normals, They are not even new. They are already normals. That's a part of our lives.
2025. It's been a few
Yeah.
years. Yeah.
So now look, and you feel like, okay, what happened throughout these years too? Financial crisis. I immigrated to the Central Europe because of financial crisis in my country back then, okay?
Yeah.
But then now Russia started a war with Ukraine. This immediately impacted the Europe, for example. Financial crisis was not so hard, but the electricity costs, energy costs grew up significantly,
Quite a few people felt that. Yeah.
Now we see, after Corona was over, Elon Musk and big corporations started layoffs. So these kind of challenges, this financial security aspect. You could be working at Google, you could be working in any corporation from, American top 500, and you could any day be laid off through an email.
Yeah. Yeah.
So these challenges, these fears that we had before, we had fears that if we don't continue this traditional model, then we risk with financial stability. But not anymore. You could be with this traditional model, but you could lose anything that you had. And this, I think, kind of puts this opportunity, this belief in our head that no, it's not anymore just this financial security traditional model. There could be some other shape that could be more like aligned, with all these things that I mentioned: digital work, remote work, and so forth. And this is explicitly like highlighted by Generation Z. I have people who I cooperate with from Gen Z,
the team, friends,
and for them, this is a normal challenge. They don't have just one fear that if we don't go that way, the traditional way, then we will be in a bad shape. No, there is alternative. And I believe that alternative is not to again choose between A, financial security, and B, which is creativity, personal fulfillment, flexibility, but to optimize A, financial security, to reflect on your financials, on your costs, on your living, and mix it with B. Okay. So you don't have to choose just one or another. You do, because this is what we did with you all these years. This is what we executed. And there is a way to escape. And
definitely,
our stories
I would even say more than one.
Our stories are kind of illustrating that.
Yeah. So many questions, so many topics. Yeah, I think like last time we talked about the history of the internet, which is very short. When we talk about the history of us or like our generations, I think we could probably have to go back way further. But just for this generation that we talk about, like we have people in the team, we have friends, you say you have colleagues, and we'll have kids at that point, at some point. So looking back, I think I would like to draw a parallel to software for this because I've been thinking about this for a while.
Yeah.
And I would even say you're totally right. Like there's A and B, and we kind of figure out everything in between. We mix up things. Maybe there's even a whole vocabulary, like C, D, E, F, plus more possibilities to think about. But let's say, okay, internet was invented, right? So was the first version of the idea. And if we take that metaphor and apply it to our system, it also doesn't exist so long. And I think the problem is, for me, I've been thinking about this for quite a while. For us, it's kind of a given. We grown up like this. Our parents, I think it came from a good place, like they said. My mom still says the same thing. If I have a bad day, finish your master's degree, go back and have a regular job. She still kind of likes to do this. Maybe it's a joke, or maybe it's true. But it comes from a good place, because they thought they built this first version of this system, and they said, okay, we will go to a pension. You guys will have it better than us. That's why we work so much and make a better place. But this first version, just like the internet, didn't work out so well. I think also for people who now go to the pension, see, it's not happening as they intended it to be. Less kids, So I think, and just taking it one step further now, looking at it at the place that we are right now, I think on the one side, the way we grew up also, because we said, well, we don't want to do this. We want to go a different way. And I think everybody can have that chance. We both didn't have much money. Like, both of us didn't have so much support financially, and we tried. And there's options. So I think I'm curious to hear from your side how you think about it. But this metaphor, I think, is good, because I'm not so disappointed by it. I also don't see it much as an insecurity or fear, but understanding that the system is not perfect and we can also make it better. We can design it. I think that's a way more positive way at looking at it. Yeah. And it can change. Yeah.
Yeah. I agree. Yeah. Well, really good metaphor, I think, and comparison between internet and the options, how we change the traditional model to some alternative model. I like this. Yeah. Well, I would say what also kind of supports our beliefs is not only this financial crisis, it happened, and the layoffs from big corporations that were stable forever until then, but also another alternative options of work. And traditional work assumes that you are tied to a certain company and you are serving this company and get paid for that salary. Or if you are freelancing, maybe you have multiple ones. That's already an option. Look, freelance, more opportunities, different
Still
opportunities.
Pretty modern. Yeah, for most people.
Then you see people building multiple income streams in small paths, earn there, earn there, earn there. You see on the internet that's full of creators are trying to do this.
Yeah.
Remote work, I repeat myself, that's quite an alternative too. Then some people are building small 1-2 person entrepreneurship. So companies for themselves to earn something that could be maybe as a side gig first, aside from your main job, or so. Some other people are downshifting.
Yeah, I have it too.
And here I wanted to tell a few stories, reflect even how I see you did this throughout the years. You were freelancing for a lot of time, then you realize that you could serve these customers, these, you gain expertise in certain area, therefore, and connections, obviously, therefore, it enabled you to reach more income, more bigger customers and so forth. And then at some point, I believe you realize that actually we could build a team, an agency format that will now serve people who I have connection with or new people who will come with an expertise you gained throughout these years. Okay. Yeah. So by doing this freelance for years as a prerequisite at the beginning, you gain that expertise that doesn't anymore stick you to one employment, stick you to one company. You are so strong with this now that you could move. If one doesn't want to work with you or you doesn't want to work anymore, you can find quite easily the next one or a next one or so. I believe this is what you do now is in an agency setup. You look for projects, they look for you, and it works quite naturally, probably most of the time organically, as I see from my side, looking at your business. Okay. So you your story demonstrates that there is escape way. Look, Marius did this. Marius continued to do this escape work.
Yeah.
Another story that I want to share here is about downshifting. That's quite surprising to me. And the story is about my brother, actually. My brother also works as a software developer, but he started and he requalified from his previous profession only at 33 years old. He was, so quite late into the programmer. And he used to live in Sweden, in Stockholm, and working there for a certain company. And throughout the years, he realized that this doesn't fit. Okay, this doesn't fit in a shape of you are stick to one company, you are not exposed anywhere else, and so your stability is under question now, because whenever the company decides that they don't need you, you somehow need to move on, and it will be quite stressy. And he had a family at that moment, and so and interesting that he decided, okay, but what if I explore different like financial ways of spending? So in other words, how to optimize my financial stuff. And luckily his wife was from Georgia. I think she's from Azerbaijan, but she used to live in Georgia. And she offered him to move to Georgia.
Nice.
And things changed drastically after that. So
nice.
He
in a good way, hopefully.
he realized that now, look, the economy of this country is way lower than any European country. And therefore, if he will remotely work with some European companies, then even not fighting for a big stake, but for a normal median income from these companies will make him very, very wealthy living in Georgia. Okay. So he does this already for a certain amount of years. And he decided that he will try to retire quicker by acquiring real estate in Georgia and then renting it. Also, obviously, the economy is lower than in Europe, therefore the costs for real estate is way lower. And he, with his wife, he built a strategy that will help him to do not care too much about this rat race of earning a lot of money because the cost of living is high. No, the cost of living is low. You don't have to stress. If you are out of certain companies that you work with remotely in Europe, you will find another one because you don't put on the table a big demand for a stake, you know. Of course, if you say, okay, I need 100K minimum, you know, and so then it will be challenging to find a work, you know. But if you are like talking about the middle rate in Europe, then companies will go for it because they need your service, you know. And that's a shift, you know. So you don't aim for a big stake, you aim for a middle one, which is very big in your environment where you live, that affords you to build some additional strategy how to live a happy life afterwards. And this is the story of kind of downshifting that he's moving on already more than 3 years, doing more than 3 years. It's interesting how you could like optimize one thing and look and reflect and find these ways. The point is that there are no documentation, there are no standard alternative. There is a standard traditional model, you know, which everybody knows and everybody can tell you and suggest and advise. But there is no alternative. We see creators earn this way, another one this way, another one downshifts. You know, you build an agency. I'm doing a freelance. So there are so many shapes and alternatives that you could do to change this, you know.
And so good. I mean, the example of your brother is so nice. It's great that he tried. And I'm very happy that he found a solution with his family. And I think coming back, it's like not only one A and B now. So you can choose from C, D, E, F. the whole vocabulary. And that one is a nice situation. And I think coming back to mine, but I think the one I can talk about most, what you mentioned, I have to say, like before I talk about it more, that I know it's not very common. For me, it's a common thing because that's how I progressed over time. But talking to friends and other people in their business or others, you see it's a different path. But when I started, I think this job was very new still. So that's already probably like 20 years ago, 17, something like this. I could have applied to university, and I did. I tried really quite a bit to get a design degree, but I got rejected from all the universities. Like I did not get one positive answer. So I was thinking, what should I do? And it's not always been this successful or this good, let's say, as it is right now. It also had parts where it didn't go so well. And so I did education as a primary teacher at first. I studied psychology. And by the end of the studies, I kind of thought, okay, I want to be a designer, I want to try. And having my psychological degree doesn't really, it was great education. I'm very happy that I got it. So talking about things, conversations, also the interest now and the mix that we have that we talk about, it's very good. But I didn't learn much about like the creative or the business side. So not in school. There is no business education or not much when we went to school. Also design side, every university that rejected me, I asked why, because I felt sad about it. And most of them said, well, we only offer product design or, print design. We don't have the things that you have in your portfolio yet. And that time when like Behance came up, all the platforms, I was really lucky that some friends were there. They found the companies and supported me. So I'm very thankful for that. There was also a lot of luck. But like your brother, I tried. And I think that's a skill to really try out, because in that system, you invest so much time into education, like 10 years, maybe 11. Then you go to university. It's a lot of time and money investment for that job. So it has to work.
Yeah.
It's your one shot. You aim at the goal and you have that one shot that needs to go somewhere. And what really changed, and that's kind of hard because now people go to school, it has changed. Maybe some even don't want to go to university and they have different shots so they can try many times. And that's good. I think that's really nice because otherwise maybe your brother would have not had that idea or I would not have tried. And I also had a lot of months where I had no money, it was not always. I also made decisions just 4 years ago where I lost most of my money. I kind of had to start again from the beginning and you change. And the point I want to make is trying and changing because that's a skill that's very good. And if you come from a country that has been very unstable, you are used to change because you have to adapt. You have to move to a different country. And I think now this is a great skill because you can solve problems. And if you walk a path that all the people do, that path is like Autobahn, it's perfect. There is no problems.
Yeah.
Just paths. But now you have to pay like some interest rates on the street because it has to be maintained. Maybe you have to pay some tolls going to another country. Like you said, it's getting expensive and expensiver, more expensive. That's not a word. But then if you go another way, which is not a street, maybe it's just a path or into the wilderness, that's for free. It's nice, but it's also scary and you don't know where it's leading.
Yeah.
But we both did. And I think it's so worth to try it, really. I can just tell everybody who's listening to give this a try. If it doesn't work, you had a shot and didn't go somewhere, but maybe it does.
Yeah.
And you and I, we've done this now for a long time. And I think, like we talked about AI tools, is not that you just type into ChatGPT, how can I be successful and earn a lot of money? It will give you a long list of things that you can do, and it will take you time, like 10 years, maybe 5 years. You will have to go through times that are tough.
Yeah.
But yeah, trying and like really wanting to do this, it's so rewarding. I can only tell you, I still work, honestly, right now, still 11, 12 hours, but I really enjoy it so much. There's a lot of people in the team. We have nice projects that we can work on. So it's definitely worth trying. Yeah.
This is wonderful. Yeah. Wonderful suggestion to our audience and to ourselves to continue this too, Marius.
Agreed. Yeah.
What I see from what you told just, and my brother and myself, people who are close to me and I really know the true story of them, is the pattern that repeats for all of us is the starting point is a certain magical kick. You go to university and nobody accepts you. You live in a country where it's a high crisis and you are in a survivance mode, so you want to change it. You live in wealthy Stockholm and you feel that you are overpaying taxes. Certain magical kick is a trigger to move on. And obviously, I believe, I don't know, but I believe that it's just a theory, that people who are on this highway, on this autobahn, as you mentioned, in a comfy way, it's very hard to escape. And probably for them, it's not time. You need mentally to mature to make a move. And for them, probably that magical kick, and hopefully not, but might be a layoff from that autobahn.
Like
when
an
somebody
accident.
takes your car away and you cannot participate anymore.
Right. Good point.
Okay. All right. So we come to the point that I wanted to look at these building blocks that throughout the years we went through and are necessary to do the change, you know?
Yep.
And one thing that I recognize, it's kind of prerequisite, is that you need to mentally escape the survival state.
Okay.
Look, we live in fat Europe. There is a high quality of life. No matter, most of the jobs offers you a high quality or very good quality of life. Not everyone has this environment around like we have here in Europe.
Yes.
People from countries who are outside of Europe, they are in way less comfortable situations.
Totally.
Okay, so
even in Europe.
Even in Europe, in some countries. So we need to gain a bit of stability and gain some environment that supports your development. By this, I mean some normal place to live, so you could take a shower, you know, which is what is normal here for us in Europe. But I'm saying in general that
for a lot of people it isn't.
You live in a normal environment, which is kind of okay. You know, you don't survive every single day and minute. You don't think about money every single day and minute because you lack everything or most of the things. So this is prerequisite that we need set up, you know, because without that, changing anything is, I believe, almost impossible, you know. So first, fix this, an environment where you live, maybe get some starting job, you know, that you get the salary at the beginning so you could pay your life and live more or less quality, like in a level of your country, okay? And then the second thing, which is a building block we both, I think, still go through, is understanding what matters to you. Your purpose, your values, okay? So this is super important, understanding what is it for you. Maybe the highway, the autobahn, with a stable car that currently rides in and pays all your bills and your high quality life in a big city is what you want. Maybe that makes what you happy. In my case, no. In my case, I want flexibility. I want autonomy. From perspective, I want to choose where I work and how. I want this autonomy from perspective of time. I want to have enough time to spend with the people I love, you know, with my kids, with my wife. I want to have a good relationship. And this is not for free. This is a cost of time, right? So you have your values. Now you are building your beautiful dream house, and that's a great value too. So I just encourage everyone to think and understand, who are you at that moment? What do you want? What makes you happy? Not what the system encourages, not what I say for me makes me happy, but you personally. That's the second kind of building block that you need to go through. It will change within years, and for us both, for sure it did, you know?
Yeah, definitely.
Then the next step, I believe, the next kind of building block that you need to make after realizing it is to, okay, when you have this more or less stable setup, so environment is supportive for you, you understand what you want. Don't cut your current setup anyhow. I mean, don't quit your highly paying job or so. Start small. Start a gig. Actually, I do all my endeavors that are outside of my main job at the bank like that. We do this podcast like that.
Nice
I don't
example.
quit
Exactly.
the main thing. I just have it as a side gig. I have my training offers and training business done like that.
Yes.
It's kind of mixture. As I said, I mix A with the stability that my job pays me, with B, which is this creative life purpose and so wave,
Okay. Yeah.
So this is important.
Very good.
Next step, the fourth one, is this financial literacy. I think we could record a whole episode about this thing, but not today.
Yes, definitely.
Important is that you reflect how you spend, how you can optimize this. I think the simple tip would be just go through your bank transactions and categorize them to some high order categories, so you have an overview. Actually, how do you spend money? How much it costs you to rent, what do you pay, or how much your food costs, and all this stuff. I think it's not a big effort to do this and to reflect on that, because this will also help you to understand actually where you can optimize, how much you need, so you aim already. How can you rebalance your, let's say, stable work with some gigs aside and so forth? So this is all of self-awareness. And the fifth building block is what you mentioned we did with you, Marius. All these years, you iterate, you try, you experiment and reflect. You think like what you did wrong, why it didn't work, why it didn't brought money, where I waste my time. Reflect, change, move on with the next iteration. I think every endeavor, every business, your agency, my training business, my career in general is built like that. It's built through iterations and reflection. So next time we are a bit better. I want to quote here Rafa Nadal. Sorry for taking the stage for so long. He always, when he realizes that he lost a match of certain thing, he always says, I understood this. I have something to work on to improve for the next time.
Nice.
He never compares himself to an opponent. He always compares himself to his previous version or his future version.
Nice.
What do you think about these 5 building blocks, Marius?
Yeah, I think this is kind of really keys to good education. And I think then again, education is really a key to a good life. And I think we can try for the rest of the time to apply them, the 5 keys. I think you made good points, or from 5 building blocks. Because when I look back, in my childhood, I think looking at this safe space to have, trying to apply this now, what you said, to get started like this. I remember times where, I had this idea, I remember very clearly, that I wanted to buy this one sweater. Like it was in a shop.
Okay.
Was for where I lived at that time, probably expensive, but I wanted to buy it. And I saved for, I don't know how long anymore, but I all my money that I got, like you get this monthly small payment from your family, you earn some money doing some stuff for the neighbors. I finally have the 25 mark or euros, I go to the shop and then the lady says, it's very cute that you come here and want to buy it, but it's only part of the sweater because it's 2 layers. It's a shirt and a sweater. And that was like 50 or so. And I remember I could not afford. Like many other things in that place at that time, it was not very easy to live in. And I had the chance to move to my mother's place. And that was very remote. And for me, it was such a big opener. Like really, this block was so important because I lived now in the countryside. I had my own room. I could close the room. I could do things. I had this safety now. And I had a PC. So easy, like a very old one. And with that, I started my career. That was the first block.
That's an environment you gained, right?
Yeah.
Beautiful.
So that was a long time ago. And I think maybe I jumped now in the blocks that you mentioned. but also having now this financial literacy and also knowing what I want. I know that so very well because at that time I didn't know what I wanted to do. I was like 14, 15. Other people kind of knew what they wanted to do, what their job was, but I had no clue, really, like no idea. I knew I liked playing video games, but I also knew I could not make any money from that. At the time, there was no Twitch or, you couldn't stream online. It was just like you sitting on your PC playing games. But I knew I wanted to have my own PC. So I started working for this online magazine, writing reviews for PC parts. And the guy who was running the magazine, I'm still very happy because he said, every time you write a review and it goes well, you can keep the part. So I saved the hard drive, I saved the case, and so on. And at some point, I had enough pieces to build my own PC. And I realized, okay, I really like technology. I like this stuff. I like to build things. I like to do, like install software, like do PCs for my friends. So I've kind of found an idea. But then I recently had this discussion with a friend of mine, and he said, back then, we need to invent a job for you where you can earn money by pressing buttons. And back then we were laughing about it, because it was so far away that you could earn money by doing something on the PC, which not being a secretary or so, but yeah. And then I just had this super huge chance to go on all these websites where there were other designers from the States, from China, also the way we met with our friends from Greece and from Denmark, like all the people who've brought us together. That was so exciting. And it was like, I wasn't even thinking about it as a job. Like it was not coming up in my mind that I could do this as a job.
Yeah.
So last part that comes in, like financial literacy. And I think this is so important because I did not learn that anywhere. I was like, okay, maybe as a primary teacher or in a kindergarten, I can earn enough to sustain a life living in a shared flat in Munich or going somewhere in the countryside. But then starting working freelance, asking some friends, like there is a daily rate, at the daily rate, you earn money on a daily basis. This concept was not clear to me. I only knew I get my monthly salary and I have some holidays. I was like, okay, the daily rate can be 300 euros. That was a lot of money for me back then.
Sure.
If I said like, okay, I can work like 5 days a week, I can pay my rent, I can earn food and it's easy to live.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, let's give this a try. But of course, nobody tells you that if you live in the US, that's different than in Europe or in Germany. You have to pay taxes. You have to pay your health insurance, which I didn't do the first few months. And then, of course, the bill came. I had to pay it. All those things I did not learn because I basically did not have anybody around me to know all these things. But now I learned the hard way. Like you probably will go through this too, and you did. And we make it sound easy now, and we are 20 years later into this career.
Yeah.
But knowing that, for example, I knew to have good tools, that's something I learned very late. I had this PC for quite a while, like this old, it's way, way slower than the phone is now in your pocket. It could not render a 1080p image. It took a long time just to do it in Photoshop. Now you have a 4K phone in your pocket. But then I learned from some guy, you need good tools. I heard it in some conversation. And I switched from PC self-built to a MacBook, first one before the Intel one came out.
Yes.
And it changed so much. Now I still, even in the team, I give everybody good tools that they can work with them. So applying the blocks you just mentioned, I think is so good. And finding something that you like is great. It gives you so much purpose. We both enjoy doing this. We both like to do the work. And you will find out in the moments where it's tough that if you like it, you will continue. You will want to get it done. You will be creative. You will find solutions. That's a good thing.
True.
And give that a try. I think it's definitely worth it. Like you said, with the podcast, with something you like to do for fun. Yeah. Maybe it grows. You iterate, you try. And at some point you can say goodbye to the office. Yeah. Maybe you go part-time, whatever it is. You choose your letter, A, B, C, D, E, F, G.
Yeah. Fantastic story. Thank you very much for these insights, Marius. Great to hear, these stories actually from the past, how we started, what we did, and so.
It's nice to reflect,
Yeah, superb. I see the pattern that repeats with the people like us. It's a passion to learn. Passion to get better.
Absolutely.
Understanding the problem. Financial. What is daily rate? There will be taxes. What? Taxes? Sure. So you learn. You learn now with us today on this episode that there is not only traditional A path There are B, D, C, E, F, whatever letter from the alphabet you could tell. And you can see that creators online, on YouTube, in general online, they went through different of these paths.
Yes.
So there is already a proof. It's not just an illusion. It's not just a fantasy. There's always a proof already that these letters, these options, they exist. And I think to end up this episode well, it's important that you can continue by changing to another model, to another letter, only if you try to match your passion, your interest with what you will do. Okay? So, for example, if you are not into sales, not into these things, so picking a career to sell on Amazon won't be the path. This is what everybody of us who I know who pursue this career of not traditional model, but another one, this is a pattern, this is the criteria that every one of us has. We try to find what we love, the activities we love, and try to find then the shape how to put this activity into the career.
Absolutely.
You started designing before earning a penny. I started programming when I was back in school. I just did a website for my class. This is where it's all started. This defined the path. And then, sure, it's a challenge to make a living out of that, in different shape, different letter that you pick an option from an alphabet. So happiness and this match of your passion is very important. In the end, this alternative career path, I think, has two these significant benefits. One is you will have, in the long run, less stress and better health, better mental health, better physical health, I believe, because you build your autonomy, you build your flexibility, and you are passionate about learning, so you adapt to a changing world. Okay.
Yes.
So this will make you much more stronger than people that choose the traditional A path.
Yes. Lots of benefits.
Yeah. And second significant one, if something doesn't hit, we have to employ this adaptability. I repeat this term many times because this is important. You try to do happy living, find your passion. But if you, on the way, you don't hit this, don't hit happiness, don't hit flexibility, don't hit better health, then you're probably doing wrong. Rethink and continue.
That's right. Yeah. Good words today.
I agree. The topic was really good. And I think for me, it's like touching. It's important because that's my life. We talked today about you.
That's the life we live. Oh, absolutely. Yes.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Thanks for sharing. It was nice.
All right. So one step farther today maybe will be your steers to a new life. I don't know. Marius did this. I did this 20 years ago or so. We're now on a good fit.
Yes. Give it a try.